This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome in to another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Today is going to be a fun one. We got a full 7-round mock draft. We're going to use the PFF mock draft simulator for the other team's picks, but we're going to be picking for the Patriots. We're going to be doing trades if we feel like we want to, if we feel like the value's right or the player we want, trade up, trade down, whatever we're going to do. So it's going to be a fun one. But before we hop into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, turn on post notifications so you never miss a live, never miss a video, all that good stuff. But I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's going good. I'm excited to get this thing going. First full 7-round mock draft. We did one where we just reacted to Mel Kiper. You guys killed that video. It's already at 1,300 views in not even 12 hours yet. So we appreciate all that support, but let's get into a full Patriots one. There's a lot of prospects to talk about, lots of, news and rumors. But the first thing to talk about before we even get into that, right? A little bit of news today that we got on the Patriots front. The Patriots have signed Jabril Peppers, 26-year-old safety, to a 1-year, $5 million contract, just to add some depth in that secondary and bring in some more athleticism and chess pieces to help slow down the weapons in the AFC. But Cole, what were your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. Not bad value, 1-year deal. Kind of prove a deal for him, prove that he's healthy coming off that ACL. He should be ready to go fully healthy by training camp. He got injured early, so that's the good news. And we need bodies in the secondary. So I'm excited. I think it's a good signing. He was insane at Michigan. He obviously hasn't lived up to that in New York, but he hasn't had the best situation around him. He's a guy that can do a lot of different things. He's not just a safety. He can play slot corner. He played the majority of his snaps. He played 107 total snaps at slot corner this past year. So he's another chess piece, another guy. Jalen Mills, Kyle Duggar, Adrian Phillips, Jabril Peppers now, Devin McCourty. We got a lot of talented guys there that can do a lot of different things. We don't have still a true outside number one corner. That's something that we still need to pursue, but I don't mind it. It's another guy that provides depth, more talent in that secondary. You can use him as a chess piece. I like the signing. I think it's a low risk, high reward. I think if this guy is somebody that I've thought, especially coming out of college, that, hey, this guy, if the Patriots land this guy, it could be special. He's a tremendous talent. And obviously, like I said, hasn't worked out in the NFL yet for him, but Patriots usually find the best way to use certain defenders and get the best out of them. So on a 1-year deal, I think he could reset his market, go get a bigger deal next season, or maybe the Patriots like him and re-sign him. But I like the move overall. I think never hurts to add more talent to your team.
Yeah, I love the move too. It's one of those ones that, isn't a big splash. I think Patriots fans are excited because of what he can be and what he can do. So I love the signing. I personally, I know a lot of Patriots fans love his versatility, and that's why Bill signed him, in my opinion. I don't see him playing much in the box. I think Bill has his Kyle Duggar, Adrian Phillips type of guys that are going to play in the box that are bigger than him already, have experience in here. I look for Jabril Peppers to be probably the number one punt returner. He returns a lot of punts, when he's healthy. He did it great at Michigan. He's done it in Cleveland. He's done it in the New York Giants system. And obviously he's a Joe Judge type of guy, where when he was in the Giants locker room, Joe Judge knows him. He's going to be a special teams dude. I look for him to play a lot of slot corner, maybe an insurance policy, and help a spell with Jonathan Jones. And then I also look for him to, maybe play some free safety. The last couple of years, he's played a lot of slot corner and free safety roles. In 2020, he played 146 snaps at free safety. I think that maybe, like you mentioned, if this guy can come in, he ran a 4.46 at the combine back in 2017. If he can come in, if New England wants to re-sign him, maybe he's the replacement we've been looking for to play, deep center field instead of Devin McCourty, if McCourty does hang it up after this contract this year. So I'm really excited for him. He does a lot of things good. I wouldn't say he does, many things great. He can. We haven't seen it at the NFL level, but he's just going to bring a lot more athleticism, a lot more versatility to a defense that really needs athletes right now.
Yeah, and that's, like you just mentioned, that's a hole that we're going to have in the near future. McCourty's not going to be around forever, so you can throw as many darts as you can at the dartboard and see what sticks. So I don't mind it. I think it's a good signing, and like you said, I think the special teams aspect of it. We just lost Gunner. He's a guy that can return punts, maybe kickoffs as well. I think he's going to be in that role along with a guy like Ty Montgomery. So I'm a fan of the signing, adding versatility to this defense, another chess piece. You can use these guys in different roles. Yeah, Duggar and Phillips may be more guys that they're going to play in the box like they have, but you can always switch it up. And the more you can keep the offense guessing, the better. So I like it. I'm super pumped about the signing. Another good value with Malcolm Butler. You got a few different guys that you're bringing in, have a lot of potential. Could it not work out? Yes. Could it work out really well? Yes. So there's a lot of potential to this defense now. And I think if Bill can get these guys rolling, get them comfortable and put them in the right situation, I think this defense could have a lot of success, especially if we add an outside corner still, whether that's in the draft or further in free agency if somebody comes along. Not that there's many options left, but I think this defense is starting to come together a little bit. And I'm getting a little less concerned than I was after the first few days of free agency.
Yeah, and it adds creativity to the defense. In his 5 years in the NFL, he's had 30 hurries, and that is the third most by safeties in that period of time in the last 5 years. So he's going to bring a lot of different looks. He's going to line up in a lot of different places, and he's either going to be in coverage, he's going to be blitzing, and he has a track record of getting to the quarterback. So they always have to identify where he's at on the field, which is just like you mentioned, more and more, difficult for offenses to distinguish what's coming, flip the protection, get the right play call in. So I love the signing. It's a typical Bill Belichick move where he brings a guy in that's versatile, does multiple things in this defense, and probably, if I had to guess, he's going to be able to reset his contract next year. I hope that New England can get him back and he plays good, but this is the type of player that's going to come in, do a 1 year make it or break it deal, have a great year, and I don't know if he's going to stay and give New England a team friendly option. He might be able to go get a way bigger contract than what New England would be able to do. So I love the signing. I think that he's a stud. He brings a lot of different looks to this defense, and honestly competitive. He was so competitive in college at Michigan. He was always out there. He plays the game with passion. I think he's going to fit right into this Patriots team a lot.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Zebra caked. 5-hour car ride. That's tough. I don't know if we're gonna be able to entertain you the whole time, but we'll do our best. We'll go as long as we can. Also from him, I hope Patriots get Kaiir Elam from Florida and Mechie in the third. Those would both be great picks. You'll see the mock draft coming up soon. We're certainly gonna be talking about those two guys. Boston headline, you're all set. We're just talking about the Peppers news and we're getting into stuff. So yeah, Peppers, great player. I like the signing. Just add another good player, like we said, to this defense. But any other news that we haven't touched on? Did you see today Kraft and then Belichick recently had some comments about the coaching staff, and Belichick talked about how he doesn't think they're going to add anybody else. What are your feelings on that? And I guess just kind of he feels pretty confident that the staff is complete for the most part, barring any unexpected changes. This is kind of the staff that's going to be rolled around. He said he doesn't believe in titles. None of that stuff. So it kind of seems like this is the staff that we're going to be rolling into week 1.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise. I mean, the Bill O'Brien rumors and speculation have been kind of out the door for 2 months now and haven't really been circulating. And you figure he stays at Alabama, maybe New England can pry him away next year or something. But yeah, this is a staff, and I don't hate it. I don't think it's the best staff they could get. I think that there's guys on there that know the Patriot way, that have been in the facility and been around the team. They know how Bill wants to run his organization. The thing that worries me is you got guys coaching positions and on different sides of the ball than what they have previously in New England, and it's just interesting to see how it will be, and especially when you got a rookie quarterback, or a quarterback that's going into a second year off his rookie year. You want stability there. So it'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't say that I'm panicking. Obviously, Bill O'Brien would make me a lot more comfortable, but you have a lot of guys in here that they know the Patriot way, and sometimes that's the best way. And if Bill feels comfortable with them, I don't think he's made the best moves in free agency, maybe letting guys walk or not throwing the money to some people. But I mean, the coaching staff has always seemed to be pretty solid, and I think that if he feels that way, then that's one part that I can't really question him on.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Robert Kraft said today was like, hey, Belichick's ways, are they different? Yes, but he's had a pretty good track record, so it's hard to give him much crap about it. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't love the staff we currently have, especially, I mean, it's a bunch of failed head coaches that didn't work out coming back to New England and switching their roles up into places that they haven't really coached before. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works. Nick Caley's one guy that hopefully he develops. They have confidence in him, and maybe he can be a play caller. You never know how they're going to be till they're in that role. So it's going to be intriguing to see how this works out. I'm just worried about Mac's development. I don't want anybody to screw him up. This is a very important year. This is a year where a lot of quarterbacks make a year or two jump. So I want him to have all the answers to any questions he has, and just really for him to be prepared and get as much out of his coaches as he can and continue to level up his game, because I think this kid can be special, especially if we surround him with some talent.
Yeah, the one thing that almost excites me when you talk about the failed head coaches, Joe Judge, Matt Patricia. Yeah, they did not make it as head coaches, but they were great assistants under Bill Belichick. I think that they get more experience at it's different being the head coach than an assistant coach. Obviously, you got more responsibility, you got leadership. I think that only makes coaches better. And I'm excited to see how Bill takes these guys under his wing. They're coming off of maybe one of the lowest points in their career, being fired and let go from the teams that they thought that they were going to be coaching. And now they're coming back to a familiar system. I know that it sucks to be like, oh, Joe Judge is probably going to be the guy that's working with Mac or whatever he's doing. He's been a special teams guy. I think that the leadership that both him and Patricia have gained, being the offense or the head coaches respectively, for two teams that honestly were not even top third of the league. It's a lot of leadership. It's a lot of self-reflection. I look for Bill to build those guys up, and I think that they're going to bounce back. And we all know how they've been as assistant coaches. I think that they're going to continue to be good. We just got to see how they are in their current roles.
Yeah, and that's I guess what just makes me nervous. Like I'm happy that they've been good here. They've had their roles here, but I'm also confident that Belichick, if he's bringing them back, he's bringing them back for a reason, and he has confidence in these guys to do good things and be able to contribute to the staff. And he's kind of defended it from the very beginning of bringing back Matt Patricia and bringing him everywhere he goes. Says he has a lot of complex roles, and he's helpful to Belichick. And I guess you can't be mad about that. If Belichick feels like he's helping out the team and helping out the organization, then that's ultimately at the end of the day what I want. So in Bill we trust. We got to put on the blinders and trust that Bill has a plan, and it's going to all work out. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm certainly excited.
Yeah, and only time can tell. So we're seeing how it goes, and this is what, it's free agency, the draft. You can improve your team there. This is the coaching staff. You got to kind of settle in. As much as we don't like it, it's what it's going to be, and hope and pray for the best, and hope that Bill can get them right. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Maybe he turns some of these guys around, and maybe Joe Judge really is a good quarterback coach. It just he can't be the head coach where he has so much else on his plate. Maybe if he can just focus on quarterbacks and Mac Jones, maybe that's the key. Some guys might not be able to handle the whole head coaching stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for this season. Continue to get better through the draft, which we'll get into right here in the mock draft, but continue to find guys that fit the system, the scheme, the personality of the locker room, and, school them up before the season.
Yeah. I assume headline, this is about Peppers. We mentioned special teams is certainly an option, and then safety, some box, some slot corner, maybe some free safety as well. He's going to rotate around in there, so that's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Just another chess piece for this defense. Patriots press, not much a fan of the coaching staff, especially since Mac is going to year 2. Exactly, that's my concern. Do we want to touch on these questions about the draft, or do we want to just hop in? And I think we're going to answer them while we.
Yeah. We'll answer them throughout the draft. So let's hop in. Start with. Let me pull it up. So we're doing this on PFF's mock draft simulator. If we feel like trades are in there, and you guys go ahead, comment your guys' thoughts on who you would take or who you'd like to see New England draft there. But we're going all 7 rounds. Decently good pace for teams that aren't picking, and we'll review the picks and go back on the ones that we like. But let's hop right into this. Before we get started, is there any questions that you want to answer? I know you just asked that, but is there, something you want to address before we go?
Not really. I guess just Jameson Williams at 21. That's certainly an option. If you watch our video from yesterday, Mel Kiper has us taking Jameson Williams at 21. We've talked about him a bunch. Speedy receiver, talented guy. That would be an exciting addition to this offense. Ideal position for round 1. Corner is still certainly on the table. We still need an outside corner. Wide receiver, linebacker, I feel like is less of a need in round 1 with all the talent in round 2. Wide receiver, also a lot of talent in round 2 as well. Depending who's on the board in round 1. Maybe we take a receiver. Maybe we'll trade back. Maybe we'll take a corner. There's a lot of different options. It's all gonna kind of depend how this goes. Actually, this is an interesting one. Trade N'Keal now before you start. Do you want to do that? Have you messed with the trades at all? I don't know what he'd go for on this, but do you want to do that?
It makes it more complicated. It definitely makes it funner. Maybe we leave them out for this one and then throw it in next one. It's a new thing for PFF. We didn't really prepare for players, but I agree. We've talked about this. N'Keal Harry, I mean, now it's different because Shaq Mason went for a 5th, but if you can get a 6th or a 7th for N'Keal Harry, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Save the cap space, get that extra pick, and develop a guy like Wilkerson or someone that you draft instead of N'Keal taking the reps. So yeah, I don't know what his value is, like Cole mentioned, but it's hard for me to think that he's got much value if Shaq Mason was a 5th.
This has him being, I think PFF has him valued higher than he's actually valued in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just based off, I'm just starting to mess around with it a little bit, and you can get 3 picks in the 150 to 200 range for N'Keal from the Bears to be accepted. I don't know. So maybe that's something we mess around with next time, but we'll stick with just this for now. We will make some trades if we have the opportunity and we think it's the right move, which I have one in mind here, Jace, for depending on who's on the board at 21, but we can go ahead.
All right. Well, let's start this. It'll scroll on through. We'll go back up and look at them. So there's the board, which already right away does not look very good. But let's start at the top. Aiden Hutchinson goes 1. Him and Kayvon Thibodeau 1 and 2. Kyle Hamilton comes off the board at 3. Evan Neal, they get some offensive line protection. Ahmad Gardner goes top 5, which is not really a surprise. Just kind of looking for Patriots prospects. Devin Lloyd's a guy that we've talked about. Look, this is weird, right? Like, would Philly ever go Devin Lloyd into Kobe Dean? No.
I don't think so.
But they do go Chris Olave, and then Jameson Williams comes off right before us. So just looking right now, the 2 top receivers for the Patriots in our minds, both are off the board right here. And now you're looking at who's left on the board. Don't need a quarterback. Do you take a defensive lineman? Penning's not a bad option, but do you really want to take a first-round tackle? I don't know.
What's the can you scroll down a little bit? Who's left at receiver on the board? Is Treylon Burks on there?
Yep, Treylon Burks is on there. Sky Moore.
So this Dawson. Is one option I have in mind for the trade based off, like, obviously if the Patriots could trade back and just acquire more value and not trade too far back. Obviously at pick 21, there's some options here. A guy like Andrew Booth. Maybe we can trade back a few picks and still get him and acquire another pick. So one option I have is trading with 26, trading with Tennessee. That would be 5 picks back. Maybe Tennessee trades up to get ahead of Green Bay to get a guy like Treylon Burks. That's a situation that maybe makes sense. I know they just got Robert Woods. So maybe that's not their number one need, but maybe they're looking for a long-term guy. Maybe for some reason AJ Brown doesn't get extended. You never know. So just value-wise on the trade chart thing, you could get 26 from them and 90 for our pick 21 and 127 is what this says. Maybe we don't want to give up the 4th. Maybe we just want to trade back and get like that first round pick and like a 3rd or 4th if we can, and maybe a 5th, throw something in there. But that's an option as well as getting 26 and 90 for 21 and 127 was what the trade value chart says on the on that website that we talked about. Yep.
So how PFF's working is they're saying Tennessee's not interested in this. They have the 5. We have 5 trade offers or 5 teams interested in this pick. Now we can force the trade if we think that this would be a realistic one.
127 in there was
yeah.
Okay. They still want it.
Yeah. So I don't know how PFF works, because usually I just trade with these ones. If any of these teams just don't want the pick at all, if they're just not even going to want to trade with it, like, see, I don't think even if we were to throw in 2 first, I think that you have to trade with these 5 up here.
Interesting. Okay.
So the lowest we can go down right here is 29 to Kansas City. I know someone in the comments said trade down with the Chiefs and get Zion Johnson 29 and 30. Now, they did acquire that, so if you could get 29 and 30 for 21, I would 100% agree with that, but they're not going to accept that, according to PFF.
No, I think they'd probably want to trade up higher if they're giving up 2 first-rounders.
So now you can go 29.50. They still don't want that. Maybe we'd have to throw in 127, 29.60, throw in 170. I mean, we can work all these trades that we want. 62 would be at the back end of the second round, and you'd be only moving down 8 spots.
So this is where it gets tough, because I think at 29, both corners that we'd be okay with, I think might be off the board. That's where this is tough. I want to trade back and acquire more draft capital just because there's so many good players in the second round, rounds 2 and 3. But also, I'm okay sticking at 21 and taking a guy if that's what we want. So this is the closest. You wanna risk it and trade with 29 and hope one of those guys falls, or
I do kind of agree with a comment that I saw in here. Now I'm trying to scroll up and find it. Jeez. He pretty much was saying that. Oh, here it is. What is your ideal position? It's the one that we already talked about. I've seen a lot of people saying cornerbacks, but I think Bill can develop a good cornerback core with decent names. So there are some depth pieces that I like. Josh Jobe would be a dude. Kobe Bryant, Zion McCollum, that I think that Bill could develop. Now, I don't think they're going to make an immediate impact right away, which if that's what New England's looking for in a quarterback, yeah, you probably have to land either Elam or Booth here. So I agree with you. If you want to trade to 29 and risk it, I think that maybe there's a chance, but there's also, you're moving down 8 spots, and you got teams up here that need cornerbacks like the Cardinals. Some of the teams, the Chiefs need one, but will be jumping ahead of their next pick. So I think it's a risky one, especially if you feel like you need that cornerback, but it's one that would definitely get us more picks.
Yikes. What do you think? You want to risk it and hope one of them's there, or do you want to just pick one of these 2 guys at 21?
I think that Bill is in the game of he doesn't care. He's going to take best available. I think he's going to trade down here and say, if they're not available at 29 or whatever, we'll take someone else, and then we'll improve our offense or improve the cornerback another way. So I'm fine trading down. I'm also fine reaching. I'll leave this one up to you though.
Oh boy. Oh goodness. I think it's more realistic that we trade back than make this pick at 21 in real life. So we'll try it. I'm not loving it, but
yeah. So we're gonna have to go with Kansas City because we're not moving down to 40. So we'll get 29 and 62 for 21. Can we throw in, what would you feel comfortable with, the 5th we just got from Tampa Bay?
We have 2 6th, right? Would that add it?
That's giving it a 55% chance.
All right.
What if we throw in the 5th?
Well,
if it says no, you can redo it.
Okay, just try 200, see what happens. And then if that's, or it's 170, that's fine too. Either one's fine.
I was gonna say maybe we can go 170 and then be able to get like 135 too. That's less of a chance. So let's throw in 21 and 200. You said?
Yeah, just try it, see what happens.
So they declined this.
Okay, so now you can try 170 if you want.
So throw in 170. This is giving it a 61% chance. Okay, so they accept that. So we go back 8 spots, and then we gain an additional 2nd round pick. And we give up the 5th we pretty much got for Shaq Mason.
Nikhil was drafted at 32, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was 32, not 29. So no curse there. No curse at 29.
No curse. Well, let's roll and see. So I know Elam went. Booth is still here. Elam went. Penning went. Devontae Wyatt went. The Chiefs took Devontae Wyatt when they trade up with us. Burks is gone. Elam. So yeah, I think that this is the one. The one thing that worries me about Andrew Booth is he did just have hamstring surgery. Don't know the extent of that yet.
He's all right. He'll be all right.
You hope, man. You better hope. If you're taking a 1st round pick on this guy, you better hope that he's going to be okay. And a surgery like that right up to this close to the draft, a month away, is always a little scary. But I agree with you. I think that both of us, we trade down, we get one of the 2 cornerbacks that we've wanted the whole time at 21. We get an extra 2nd round pick, and we're able to take Andrew Booth here at 29. Do you agree?
I think that's a no-brainer right there. If you can get Andrew Booth end of the 1st round, trade back and acquire an extra second round pick, that's perfect. That's a great situation in my mind.
For sure. Well, let's take him here. Then we won't be on the board for about 24 picks. So we'll let it roll.
You want to pause it real quick?
Yes. Pause it right there.
Just let's see. Let's just see who's up. Can you see who's off the board?
Oh, yep. Okay. So since our pick, Lewis Kine, he's a good safety that I think New England would have had interest in, but they can't take him with the other secondary needs. Daxton Hill is a guy that a lot of Patriots media is getting a lot of hype for. He has great closing speed, tested pretty well. I like him. I just think there's better corners on the board. If we were to have traded down to 31 or something and Daxton Hill were to have been there, I wouldn't hate it. But if Booth is on the board, there's no way I'd take Hill over Booth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I think you need an outside corner, like a solid outside corner. I know Hill's listed as a cornerback here. He can play safety corner a little bit. Interesting player. So Patriots option, maybe, yes, but I think if you got Booth on the board there, that's a no-brainer for me.
So look at this. The Lions took Hal and Corral.
Yeah, that's
PFF mock. You guys got to figure your crap out.
One thing, do we want to try trading Jake Bailey? There's punters in this in the PFF mock draft. I don't know if that's something we want to consider based off cap space. Clear that, draft a guy. That's an option as well. I don't know what we'd get for him, a 5th, 6th round pick, something like that for a solid young punter.
Yeah, I think that it's something that we talked about that makes sense because he's going to be making about $4 million in cap space, and if you can trade and get Matt Ariza, but the problem is in some mock drafts he's going 4th or 5th round, and I just don't know how New England can justify giving that up. So now you're trading Jake Bailey, and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to invest in this punter no matter what round it is, and then say you don't get him, he comes off in the 5th or something, and you wanted to get him in the 6th. Now you're without a really good punter. And I think New England always has had a good punter. So it's a risk that I think New England could take, but it's something that is going to have to be for sure thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's probably not something they do till after the draft of trading him. Like,
yes,
you wouldn't get that pick beforehand probably until you know you have that punter. But I think it's an option of them grabbing him. What are we thinking for 2nd round? We got a cornerback is no longer a top need. Obviously, we just got one, and we've added some DBs throughout the offseason here the past week or so. Are we thinking linebacker, receiver? We got what? 2 2nd round picks, maybe linebacker at 54, wide receiver at 62.
Yeah, I think that one of those positions has to be addressed with these 2 picks. The other thing I think that New England can look at is interior offensive line if someone were to fall there. So I think that you got to take either a linebacker or receiver with one of these picks in the 2nd round, and then you can kind of go best available at the other. Say you want an offensive lineman. The other thing New England is lacking, and it does say that they need on PFFs, is an edge defender. You know, I want to trust Uche, Ronnie Perkins, those guys to come along, but we haven't seen it yet. You're banking on them coming along. So if there's a premier pass rusher that somehow were to fall, I think that would be another one that Bill always, he can never have enough good pass rushers. I feel like he always wants to take one of those guys.
Yeah, we always end up taking them, and then they never end up being anything. The Winovich, Uche, Perkins, first 3 rounds the past few years. But yeah, it's definitely something that they need to. You got to replace that Van Noy role somehow. So I think just talking about receiver options, we both liked a guy like John Mechie. If you can maybe get a linebacker at 54, trade 62, or even just take him at 62, or if a guy like Christian Watson falls, that's an option as well. I really like Mechie. I know you like Mechie as well, so that'd probably be my favorite option here. If we can trade, we just traded back to 29. If we can get one of those top linebackers that we love in round 2, John Mechie at 62, or even trade back just a little bit to acquire another pick in there. You know, the Patriots love draft day trade, so that's an option as well. So we got a few different options here.
Yeah, and I'm going to let it roll so we can see who's on for our pick exactly. Who'd you
Chad
see?
Muma just went off the board.
So Pickens goes off, which I was seeing a couple comments about George Pickens. I like George Pickens. I think that since the combine and since his pro day, his stock has only gone up. He'd be a guy I'd be interested in taking. The other guy here, which I don't think I saw him come off the board, that we've loved for a long time now, Christian Watson. Obviously Mechie's still on the board if you want. I don't think New England doubles down on receiver, but if some Patriots fans would want to go Mechie and then try to get Watson at 62, I think that there's too many holes to double down at receiver. But there's
like Alec Pierce is interesting too. I've seen him start to climb up some boards at wide receiver. I still would rather take a linebacker here, depending on who's on the board. If there's no linebackers on the board that we love, maybe go Christian Watson. That's an option. Or maybe trade back a little bit. Let's see who's on the board.
Yeah, I mean, and Patriots Press Pass said this in the comment. Leo Chenal, that's who I took at 54 in my latest mock draft on my Instagram page. The thing is he's getting a lot of first round hype. I think that he might sneak into the first round. And in this draft, he got taken 44. So, early in the second round. If you're talking who's the best available linebackers for me, Troy Anderson, you could maybe bank on him being there at 62. Do you want to take a tackle in Abraham Lucas? And then, like we mentioned, here's some of the edge rushers that I think are very good. Drake Jackson out of USC, Kingsley Ngbare out of South Carolina. There's guys on the board at positions. I don't know if they're exactly positions of, immediate need, but they're positions that Bill likes to draft: interior offensive line, tackle, or edge defender.
You want to go to linebackers real quick on the filter?
Yep.
Just to check out who's there.
So for linebackers, Brandon Smith,
Troy Anderson, Beavers, and Quay Walker, I think are three good options. Quay, you could probably take with your next pick.
If I was gonna rank my linebackers right here, I'd go Troy Anderson, Tyndall, Beavers, Smith. I feel Tyndall has I've been blown away with his combine, with his pro day. I've loved his sideline to sideline ability. He's a little bit smaller. What do they have him listed at? 6'2", 230. He's ran great numbers at the combine and at pro day. He's a guy I like him over Quay Walker a little bit more.
Okay. Josh Potter, we traded back from 21 to 29 and picked Andrew Booth Jr. With our first round pick. So that we acquired another second round pick from the Chiefs in a trade there. I think Troy Anderson's a linebacker, kind of that style that the Patriots would like. I think he's my top linebacker on the board here as well. So I think 54, I think you can go with a guy like Troy Anderson, fill that need at linebacker. We getting Juwan Bentley back and then making that trade for Mac Wilson, that helped your linebacker core out a little bit. It added some speed and it added some of that size and run stopping ability back. But I think a guy like Troy Anderson could be a mix of both, a little bit of size, a little bit of speed, kind of a hybrid linebacker that I think Belichick definitely would love. He has more of that size than some of these other smaller guys like a Christian Harris. I know he's off the board, but I think Troy Anderson would be a great pick here. I think that linebacker position would be good. We wouldn't have to touch that. Then we could just focus on receiver, maybe a guard or tackle at some point, edge defender, like you said. We'll see how the board falls, but I think Troy Anderson for me would be my pick here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. 4.4 or 4 what was it? 4.41 speed, I'm pretty sure. Great jumping at the combine. I love him. And the thing that we have a video out on this, the thing that Bill loves to do, he drafts Senior Bowl players. Both Troy Anderson, Channing Tindall, Darian Beavers, they were Senior Bowl guys. I agree. Someone said it in here. I'm trying to find the comment. Cody Ambrosio. Sorry if I butchered that. He has the highest upside, in my opinion. 4.4 speed, size. I think Bill can make him an all-pro. I agree. I compare him. I don't think that he right away can be a Darius Leonard, but when you look at Darius Leonard coming out, small college, tore up the combine, and he plays the game the right way, fast. He can cover, he can stop the run. I look at Troy Anderson developing into something like that. So I agree with you. I love the Troy Anderson pick here at 54.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that's the pick right there.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it. We'll let it roll until we're up in 10 more picks and see. So the 10 picks after us. So DeMarvin Leal, really no guys that I would say were on our board that we previously talked about. An edge defender, 3 tackles, another edge, and then a halfback and a cornerback, which we already addressed cornerback. So here, this is another trade down situation possibly, or you kind of can take best available if you want to take one of these edge rushers that we talked about at 54 and is still on the board.
Yeah, I think I'd be all right. What are the trade options just to take a peek, see what's there?
So the Broncos want us to move down 2, the Texans want us to move down 6, the Ravens moving down 14, and then you're talking about moving down into the 3rd round. So either moving down 2 or 6 would probably be
I'd say maybe
the 76, but I don't know.
I'd say trade down 6 spots maybe and look at the options there. Maybe Mechie's there. We can take him
right now or at 64 or 68.
68. Trade back to 68. You think he'll still be there then?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So trade 62 for 68 and maybe 107.
So they're giving that a 45%, 108, 48, 183. You're talking in the 5th round. So we'd be able to get our 5th round pick back that we just traded for a 2nd round pick.
But we also would we'd need something else because it said
that will be likely accepted because it's such a big gap. The thing is if you go Denver, you could get 64. You could probably get 145, which would be in the 4th for just 62. And that's 40 picks above. Now we're only moving down 2.
Yeah, that's just a better trade. Let's do that.
I mean, if you wanted to get 116, you could risk throwing in a 7th or one of the 6th. Or would you just rather give up the 2nd and get an extra 4th?
Let's go. If what's 116? Is that
116 would be 4th round.
So and then you add our 6th round and
you'd add our first 6th round pick at 200.
Yeah, I think that's probably good. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I like it. Giving up a 6th round pick, we already have a 6th round pick, and now you're going to get two 4th round picks, and you can get an extra 4. So yeah, I like it.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's offer it. Oh, Denver actually declines it, so that makes it tough. So do we just go back to 145?
Yeah, that's fine. That's probably more realistic in real life too. Let's do that.
Okay. So they're going to give us that. So Christian Watson goes off the board to Denver. I think that since he's
I didn't
off
know
the
he
board,
was still on there.
This is a clear pick for Mechie, right?
John Mechie, yeah. And I don't think Christian Watson makes it this far, so probably not. Even if he was here, I don't think it would be a great idea to take him because I just don't think that's that realistic based off his draft stock shooting up like recently. So I think John Mechie here, perfect.
Yeah. And the one thing about Mechie, and this has always been my knock on him, I love his connection. I love his ability to come in and contribute right away. I don't know if his ceiling is there. You talk about a guy like Christian Watson, even George Pickens, like those guys have a legitimate, like high ceiling. I think that Mechie might be very close to what his ceiling is now, and that's not bad at all. And New England's always gotten by with wide receiver 2s being the wide receiver 1s in their offense, and they wouldn't really be wide receiver 1s on any other team. So I'm 100% fine with the Mechie pick for how New England runs their offense, the way that they have Mac Jones back there, and the connection. So that's the only thing on him. If that's why I said a couple podcasts ago, if it's Christian Watson or John Mechie, I'd have such a hard time passing on Christian Watson because of his the ceiling and the potential he has over John Mechie.
I agree. My only thoughts, I'm a little concerned for the Patriots with a guy like Christian Watson. I'm more confident that a guy like John Mechie will work out than a guy like Christian Watson, just because utilization and how the Patriots develop receivers. He is a very raw athlete. Like he's great size, great speed, great ability. There's some things there that you need to refine. He's from a smaller school. Not that they can't work with small school guys because they do it all the time on defense, and sometimes O-line and stuff like that. But I'm afraid of the boomer bust guys because it seems like in recent history, obviously, that is ended up being bust here in New England. So I'm okay with taking a safe guy. That's why I love Chris Olave so much, because I feel like he has so much potential to just be a safe pick that's going to work out. He was gone, obviously, at 21. I think a guy like Mechie is a safe pick. Maybe he doesn't have the ceiling. He's got the connection with Mac. I think he's got a good floor. And I think he's a guy that should have success in our system. A guy like Christian Watson has that high ceiling. He could be tremendous in this league, and with this offense, he could work out really well. But it could also go the other way, and we just wasted a second round pick on another receiver. That's a first round pick a couple years ago, and now a second round pick on two receivers that are big guys that didn't end up working out. So that's my only concern. I'm not saying I think Christian Watson is going to be a bust. I don't. I'm just worried about in this system. Sometimes the safe pick isn't always the bad pick, especially when it's coming to receiver position, when we just need a guy who's going to work out and be good. I want a wide receiver one, but it's going to be tough if you take a guy like Christian Watson and he doesn't work out, which I think he will, but you never know. He seems like more of a boomer bust guy compared to guys like Mechie maybe, or Chris Olave, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people mixed emotions on Mechie in the chat. A couple people kind of talking about Watson too. Maybe someone says, where is it? Jungle ENT, can we get some speed at receiver? If there's two things New England doesn't utilize at the receiver position, it's speed and it's, big receivers. If you look at the last couple guys, I mean, New England has never used a true deep threat, and they've never had to. When's the last time that they've truly had one? Probably Randy Moss, maybe Brandon Cooks, if you want to throw that in there. But they got rid of him after a year. So
Damiere Byrd.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar last year. Big year, right?
Real quick, Dotson is not on the board. He was off early second round. So that's not one of the options. I do agree. A lot riding on Mechie ACL recovery as a savior. That's why he's in the end of the second, early third round, though. That's the only reason he's here. If he was fully healthy, he'd be gone by now. That's just that's how it is. You take a risk. We just took a risk last year on a guy, Cam McGrone, in the fifth round. He's in the fifth round because his ACL, because he didn't play all last year. That's what it is. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of how it is. I think Mechie's connection with Mac, his familiarity, I think that's going to help a lot. There's some similar things between Alabama and New England, obviously. I like Mechie a lot, and that's just my personal opinion. You guys can feel differently about it. That's fine. I have my concerns just like you guys do. I feel like the connection there, obviously Bama, Mac, all that different stuff. I think Mechie is a pretty safe pick. Maybe he's not going to be Calvin Johnson. Maybe he's not that size speed guy, not necessarily, but we haven't always seen the Patriots utilize those guys well. So I'm certainly okay with taking Mechie end of the second round, early third round. I think that's a good value pick. I think if this is the first few picks in our draft, I'd be thrilled. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I have no problem with Mechie here. The people in the comments that are, skeptical about it, I get why they're skeptical. I don't think that there's much to be concerned about with John Mechie other than the ACL. I mean, we've seen it for 2.5, 3 years now, both with Mac, both with Bryce Young, how good of a receiver he is. And that's going to be a dang good receiver. And there's going to be some concerns for him. And yeah, some people want speed. I will always value a quarterback that throws the ball on time to receivers that are open. You can't rely. Look at what happens when the Chiefs and the Bills, when teams figured them out in the middle half of the year, when they were struggling, teams were saying struggling, right? Teams just sat in cover 2 and got home with 4 rushers, and they were able to slow down the Chiefs and the Bills. So I will always value a guy like Mechie that can get open quick. He's very shifty in the middle of the field, really, makes himself available to Mac. And Mac's strong suit is reading the defense, making the right throw, the correct throw accurately. I think Mechie brings that to the table. I agree. I would love to have a guy that has the off the top speed, but we haven't seen New England utilize him enough. And I don't want New England to go out and take a guy like that if they're just not going to use him again. That's a waste of a pick. So I agree. I think Mechie here is the right one.
And let me make this comparison real quick. So last year we needed a quarterback, right? And this is myself included. So I'm not saying I feel any differently than probably a lot of you guys did. The safe pick was Mac Jones at quarterback for the Patriots at 15. I think everybody wanted Justin Fields, Trey Lance, trade up for one of those two guys. I mean, that's what 90% of Patriots fans were talking about. Go get that guy with the high potential. He could boom. He could be incredible. This. The safe pick was Mac Jones. He had a low ceiling, high floor. Okay. Or you can go for a guy like Justin Fields, boom or bust. You can risk him being awful, or he could end up being a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Look where Mac ended up. He's in the right system, utilized correctly by a team who knows how to utilize his skill sets, and he fits here well. So the safe pick is not always the bad pick. Yes, you want a wide receiver number 1. I get it. We all do. I mean, nobody has been more disappointed of us not getting a receiver than me, and I would love that. But the safe pick is not always the bad pick. Chemistry matters, fit matters, scheme, all that stuff matters. The injury is tough. I think his connection with Mac, like a commenter here said, offsets it a little bit. And yes, Mac was easily the most pro ready. I understand that. I'm just making the comparison of, hey, this guy doesn't have the highest ceiling. This guy has extremely high ceiling, boomer bust. We take the safe pick. It worked out better than any of those other picks worked out. So it's not always bad to take the safe pick and go with what may not seem like the highest upside. Sometimes it just works out with the scheme, with the players around him, the coaching staff, and how they utilize him. If we can't utilize a receiver, it's not worth taking him with a second-round pick. If we can utilize this guy and he doesn't have a high ceiling, but we can't utilize this guy and he has a high ceiling, it doesn't matter because his high ceiling is nothing if we can't utilize that. It's just going to be a bust, and that's what I'm concerned about with some of these guys. I think Mechie would be a solid pick for the Patriots. I'm not saying another guy mentioned on here, Calvin Austin. Great receiver, a good slot guy. I think he would be a good fit in this system as well. Wouldn't be mad about that pick either. Wouldn't be mad about Christian Watson. All 3 of those guys I like, and Alec Pierce is a guy that's gotten some attention too. So a few different receiver options there. I like Mechie. I'd be okay with any of those options though.
Yeah, I'll say it right now for the people in the chat. I 1,000% agree with you. John Mechie is not a wide receiver 1, but he might be the best fit for the Patriots, and that's why I like him. Jalen Waddle, in his 3 years combined, never even had over a 900-yard receiving season at Alabama, and that was both with Tua and Mac. His most receiving yards was his freshman year, 2019, at 848 yards. John Mechie with Mac Jones, 916. This year, on one less game because of his ACL, almost 1,200 yards. I don't get the hate on this guy. I really don't. I get the concerns. I don't know why, as a Patriots fan, you wouldn't want him, though. I think that it's, like you mentioned, the safe pick here, and it's something that makes a ton of sense for New England to go out and do when we haven't seen them want to go spend the money on a wide receiver 1, or they don't do that. And all I've heard from New England is that they want to get Mac a wide receiver 1. Well, they met with Mechie. They met with a lot of other guys. Maybe this is their version of a wide receiver 1. We never truly know what Bill is going to do and what he's thinking. So for me, I think that this is what Bill has in mind as a wide receiver 1.
I like this guy right here. This guy knows what he's talking about right here. Out of all languages, you choose to speak facts. I love it. I agree with you, fam. I agree with Mike here as well. It just hurts not having a weapon that warrants a double team. Still falls back to perfect execution for Mac. I understand. Trust me. I know what you're talking about. I want a number 1. I want a dominant receiver. It's just it's just not what the Patriots do. They don't go for those big guys that warrant a double team. And honestly, how many receivers in the NFL warrant a double team? 10.
The elite of the elite. Like
it's the top of the top guys. It's just what it is. And it stinks. It's frustrating. But if you think about it, if you get a guy like John Mechie end of the second round, you're getting him on a 4-year value contract for cheap money because he's obviously a draft pick. And if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. That stinks, obviously. I think he's going to work out. I think he's going to provide more production than what his dollar value is. And I think he's going to be really good in this system. In their system, Mechie can be a 1. I don't think Mechie is going to be a 1, but there's no reason that nobody knows. At the end of the day, nobody knows. But like, we all say all this stuff ahead of the draft. We all make projections, but at the end of the day, you don't know until they step on the field, strap up their helmet, cleats, shoulder pads, everything, and they get on that field and get in the right system, whatever. So maybe Mechie is a 1. Maybe he gets healthy. Maybe his chemistry with Mac is great. I think he's a versatile guy who can play the Z. Sometimes he can play the X, the slot. He can move around a lot. I think Mechie's a talented player, and I think he'd be able to fit this offense well. So I get the mixed opinions. It's also a late second, early third round pick. So it's like at the end of the day, we're throwing a dart on a dartboard here, a guy who has chemistry. Mac Jones is going to be very happy about the pick. Why not? I mean, get another Alabama guy on this offense with Damian Harris, Mac Jones, all those guys. I like it. Who
Yeah.
we pick in the first round? So far, we traded back, picked Andrew Booth at 29, and then we picked Troy Anderson at 54, I believe. So corner round 1, linebacker round 2, and then we just took John Mechie at pick 64.
Eric's asking, they are taking a wide receiver at 21. I don't understand why you guys are stuck on cornerbacks when you can get one in the second round. I hate every second round cornerback. Outside of the top 5, Sauce, Stingley, Andrew Booth, Kiar Elam, Trent McDuffie. The one I do like, Zion McCollum. I think that he can develop into a guy. He's not a second round guy. When you look at the positions alone, cornerback is the least deep position. Now, in the 4th or 7th round, I think that they have some guys that New England could take. Outside of the first round, I hate all the cornerbacks that New England would be forced into taking. When you look at the receiver position and the linebacker position, I think that it's Troy Anderson, Channing Tindall, Chad Muma. There's guys in the second, possibly third round. Same with receiver. Mechie. I've seen Calvin Austin. I've seen Christian Watson. There are guys in the second round for the receiver and linebacker position. That's what forces me to think that they are not going receiver round 1. And not to mention their track record is horrible going receiver round 1. I just feel like Bill is not going to want to do that for some reason. So that's my reasoning for having them not go receiver. And I would love for them to go receiver round 1, but me and Cole are both saying prepare yourselves when New England doesn't go receiver at 21 and they trade back and take someone of value at later in the first. That's how New England's going to approach the draft. I promise you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you said. There's so many good receivers in round 2. There's not a lot of good corners in round 2. A lot of good receivers, not a lot of good corners. And not only, if you just throw all that away, what have the Patriots been worst at drafting? A wide receiver in round 1 and a corner in round 2. So why would you want to flip those? Get a bust in round 1 at wide receiver and at corner in round 2. Just flip them. Get the stud at corner, get the stud at wide receiver. It's all going to work out. That'd be great. Yeah, there's not a lot of good options in round 2. I get people see that we're adding to the secondary, and that's great. Like, yes, we got more names back there. We got more depth. We got more guys that maybe will work out, and it'll be great. But we still need a good outside corner. We don't have a number 1 outside corner, and I think a guy like Andrew Booth Jr. and some of those other guys you mentioned, Kaiir Elam, if one of the other top guys falls, Sauce Gardner or Stingley, one of those guys for some reason falls, which they won't. We need one of those guys. We need one of those top 5 corners, a guy who can play outside corner and develop in this system and be our number 1 for the future. So I think that's still a great option. I know people see us picking up corners and think, oh, we don't need them anymore. Yes, we do. We still need corners. A lot of the guys we've added aren't number 1 outside corners. We got another guy who can play slot. He can play safety slot. We got Malcolm Butler who can kind of mix and match different things. He's an outside corner for the most part, obviously, but we don't know what to expect from him. We can't guarantee that he's going to be anything productive in the system. He just was retired last year. He's 32. We don't know. So if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, you need to have insurance behind him and a young guy who can develop. That's going to be great. And then maybe take another undrafted guy and hope he turns into JC Jackson. That'd be awesome. But we can't make those guarantees. There's talent available. We feel like this is the best value. You guys don't have to agree. This is what this is about. It's fun going back and forth, seeing what you guys think. But also, like Boston Headline said here, wide receiver, if we take John Mechie and then we have $100 million cap space next year with a lot of good free agents, maybe if they want to pay a wide receiver 1, then they can. And then maybe Jacoby ends up being gone. He's only on a 1-year deal right now on that second round tender. So we'll see what happens. But this is, I think this is a great draft so far.
Yeah. A couple questions in here. LJ Hawley's saying our defensive linemen are way too slow. He said that his dream pick's also Jordan Davis. I know you love Jordan Davis. The reason I'm shying away from Jordan Davis at 21 or in the first round, which I don't think he gets to 21 at all. And I would, if he got to 21, it would be hard to pass on a guy of his talent. But New England trades up last year, gets a defensive tackle. They hit on Barmore. I would rather have them stand pat at 54. And I still don't think a Travis Jones or some Perion Winfrey, guys like that fall to 54. But I think that with what you took in Barmore last year and the holes, I get it. The holes at defensive line are, I think that it's a real concern. But I think that the holes at linebacker, receiver, and cornerback are bigger than the defensive line issues. That's why it shies me away from wanting to take one of those guys in the first round. But you're talking Devondre Wyatt, Jordan Davis. Those guys are two of the best combine performers, and they're over 300 pounds, and they're dudes on the interior offensive line. So I see their value. I get it. It's just hard for me to want to take one of those guys in the first.
Bill really picked Harry and Jawan. That's what Josh Potter said. That's a tough one right there. But no, I agree with you. I think there's certainly options to think about because, like you just mentioned, D-line is still a need. I mean, if you can get a guy like Travis Jones or Jordan Davis to be next to Barmore, oh my God, that's disgusting. That's a great interior defensive line right there. That is going to be the future of this team for sure. Paired up with Judon, and if you can get an edge rusher on that other side, good luck. That's going to be a dominant D-line right there. Be able to stop the run, rush the passer, do all these different things. Yeah, the defensive line needs work. Honestly, probably almost as much as the secondary. We need an edge rusher. We need a D tackle who can stop the run. I know we had some guys that filled those roles this year that didn't do a great job necessarily. So we'll see if some of those guys can step up. But I like our draft so far. Maybe there's an option here in the next round that we can get an edge or D tackle to start filling those needs, but also offensive line. This team needs a lot of different things. You got to start somewhere. We can't fill all the needs in the first round all at once. It's not how it works, obviously. So,
yeah. And the other thing about the defensive line is I still think it's inevitable that Trey Flowers comes back. I really do.
That'd be awesome.
I think that helps the defensive line. I think that if you get a guy that hasn't contributed yet in Ronnie Perkins or some of these guys that were drafted to contribute and haven't, that helps the defensive line. Now, yes, you're still missing a true like nose tackle type of guy. Barmore's more of a 3-tech 4-eye that's going to be able to rush the passer more consistently, and he had his struggles in the run game. So I do see the need to have a true, run stopping Ashawn Robinson, Jordan Davis type of guy, old Vince Wilfork in the Patriots. But I think that there's ways to address that position other than taking Jordan Davis in the first round. That's just how I look at it. I think that Trey Flowers coming back here just makes too much sense. And it's something that's going to, eventually happen. They just got to, get him for the right price, get him in here. He's played in New England. He's going to follow Matt Patricia. I just think the Trey Flowers thing makes too much sense.
I agree. Boston headline. When I read this, I just went and checked Twitter. I thought Trey Flowers signed. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. I say we signed Trey Flowers. There we go. That's better. Let's see. Pat's region. What's up? How's it going? Jordan Davis or Wyatt will fall. I think Wyatt will to 21. Davis, I don't think will be there. Let's see. If Jordan Davis is available at 21, Belichick himself would pick him up at the airport. He absolutely would. That is Bill Belichick's pick right there. Like, if Jordan Davis was there, Belichick's drooling all over himself. Like that's, I don't know. I feel like that'd be too hard for him to resist. Even with his temptations of trading back, wanting to do that. But let's see. Anything else on here that we want to touch on? That's what you need versus Allen. Your pass rushers play contain, afraid to run past Allen. Non-factors, get that D tackle off to help Barmore. Yeah, we need D-line help as well. Certainly something to think about.
All right. Well, we've made our first 3 picks. So for those of you that have missed it or just joining us, we traded down with Kansas City at pick 29. We were able to get Andrew Booth still. We got pick 64, which we took Mechie. And then with New England's original second-round pick at 54, we addressed a linebacker and a guy that both of us are super high on and had a very good Senior Bowl and combine in Troy Anderson out of Montana State. So looking at the positions and the guys that you take in, New England's addressed the 3 main positions. Now you're just looking to, either take a guy at the defensive line, interior offensive line that you need to, or stack up another receiver, cornerback, or linebacker. So let's see who falls to us. Our next pick will be at 85. So we'll let this roll, go back and see who was taken. So board's up, but let's go back and look. So the 2 edge rushers we kind of had our eyes on, both Kingsley and Barre and Drake Jackson go off right after us. Jalen Tolbert's a receiver that has been good, both in the combine, and I thought he did good things at the Senior Bowl. Petit Fier was talked about as a first-round guy before finally comes off. Perion Winfrey's a defensive lineman that we talked about, doesn't fall, goes about 11 picks before us. as Moa, Brandon Smith. Tyreek Woolen was a freak of nature at the
I'd
combine.
love to see him fall into the Patriots' hands.
He would have been a guy here in the third that I think New England would have taken and made a very good player out of. The other guard, I love Dylan Parham. I think he's a dude out of Memphis. Channing Tindall comes off. He was another linebacker. The other defensive lineman from Alabama, Faradin Mathis. So a couple guys that I
would have traded up.
I know, right? A couple guys that I would have liked to have gotten for New England off the board here. Maybe this makes it a trade down situation. I will say right off the bat, I love Cole Strange. I think out of Chattanooga, he's a guy that Bill would take. Anchors well, big, he moves. I kind of relate him to Quinn. Mertens last year, I think he went to the Broncos. He was out of a Division II school. He was kind of the meme. I like Cole Strange a lot. I think that he could be a good value pick here. And I think that what I value in Cole Strange is he's played left guard most of his career, and we need a left guard right now. We're probably going to move Michael Winu to right guard. And if we don't move Isaiah Wynn into the guard position, keep him at left tackle, I think you're missing a left guard. You're going to bring a guy in that has played for 3 years at Chattanooga, and he could slide right in there.
Yeah, I think that's a solid pick. We need the position. We need a left guard. Calvin Austin being on the board is interesting as a slot guy. We just took John Mechie, who's not as much of a slot guy as Calvin Austin, obviously, but I think those are two interesting options. I think you need to address guard probably before we need to address wide receiver again, since we literally just addressed it last pick. So I'd be certainly fine with that pick. Corners doesn't look like a lot on the board. Josh Job's one option, but he's going to be there later, probably, I would assume.
Yeah, the thing with Job is you'd probably be risking it if you wait until 127 to get him. You could take Zion McCollum maybe at 127 too. So this is tough. You're given about 40 picks after this pick until we're up again in the fourth round with all the comp picks. So this is tough. I agree. I think that this is a spot that you could take Cole Strange. Donovan West is a guy that's had experience at both guard spots and center spots if New England values versatility. But if you wanted to, this could be a trade down spot. You're looking, down 6 more picks from Tampa Bay, and maybe you could gain another, fourth round pick or something. They're saying if we were to give up 85, we could probably get their third and a fourth round pick from Tampa Bay.
You think Chattanooga, you think Cole's going to be there at 91 still?
It's a risk. I can't say yes or no. I think it's a risk for sure.
We got 5 more picks left. I think take the guy that we need, take a left guard. I think that's going to be fine. And then we'll see who's there, or we can trade up if we really feel like we need to, but I think we're probably pretty good trade back wise. Like if there was an option that was a little closer, maybe we could try to grab another late pick, but I think just grab the position of need. The guys on the board, take him. Especially, is there other options that if he's off the board, who's next up? Like, is there a guy that you feel confident in that's behind him?
Yeah, let me go look at the interior offensive line. Right off the bat, if Cole Strange isn't there, I'd want to go Donovan West. His average draft position is a little bit lower. I think he would be there at 21. I am higher on Strange, though, so he would be my first pick. But like you mentioned,
go Strange.
Okay, I like it. I think that, our offensive line was a big part of our success last year, and all of a sudden, it's kind of dissipated, and you're like, oh, gosh, Ted Karras is gone. We traded Shaq Mason away. We were able to re-sign Trent Brown. You never know how a Winu's going to be sliding back in and being a full-time starter at guard. I have faith that he can do it, but you just haven't seen that yet. He didn't start at guard after most of the year last year when Trent Brown was healthy. And then, you obviously have your worries about Isaiah Wynn. So I agree. I think you take Cole Strange here out of Chattanooga, and, he's probably a plug-and-play guy that is going to be a developmental piece. I don't expect him to come in and be a great offensive lineman right away, but I think that he fills a hole. He's better than any of the guys we currently have on the roster.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Sounds good.
All right, so take him, and then this will be a little bit of a roll down.
Did you see? Wandale Robinson gone too. Did you see Calvin Austin went the very next pick?
Oh, he did? Let's go look. So Calvin Austin goes to Josh McDaniels, of course.
James Cook.
Beavers.
Running David Bell. Running back is also interesting to fill James White's role eventually. Also, Damian Harris in the last year of his contract. I think they're going to take a running back at some point in this draft, even though people probably don't want to hear that. Damian Harris is not guaranteed to be on this team after this season. You'd have Ramondre, James White, JJ Taylor, and then Ty Montgomery, I guess. But like he's not even really going to play running back for us. So I think yes, Woolen is off the board. He's not on the board anymore. But yeah, I think I just totally forgot what I was saying. Anyways, yeah, just go ahead. I just blanked out what I was saying. That's why I can't read comments. I can't multitask. I can't read comments while I'm saying something. It's
so we'll keep rolling here.
Oh, running back. There we go. Running back.
Running back.
Yeah, I think they might end up taking a running back somewhere in the 4 through 6 range. It's certainly an option. I want Damian Harris to stay as well. I think he's a great locker room guy. He's fit in the Patriot way. His chemistry with Mac, I think he should stay. Bill doesn't like to pay running backs though. So if he wants to be here for a bargain, that'd be great. I would love it. Him and Ramondre is a great 1-2 punch for the future, especially James White. And then if you can add a passing back who can fill his role, learn from him for a year or two, perfect. That'd be perfect.
Yep. And my big fear right here, we have 40 picks in between Josh Jobe, Zion McCollum. The 2 next cornerbacks I had on my board are off. Kobe Bryant is also off the board. So corner's looking a little bit thin. But like you mentioned, if you were to just go look at running backs right here, there's still some guys on there. Kyron Williams did not test very well, but he has been a very good running back from Notre Dame. Pierre Strong Jr. tested pretty good at the combine, and he's been a very good back for South Dakota State in the FCS. There's also guys down here that are more of pass catching backs, in my opinion, that I think would be fit New England better, and I think that they're going to be available in the 6th or 7th.
How close were we to getting one of those guys?
One of the corners?
Yeah.
McCollum went off at
so they went
113.
Yeah.
So
pretty
15
pretty
before
far.
us.
Yeah, that's all right. We could have traded up. Maybe next time we do this, we'll pay more attention to where the guys are going to go if we need to trade up for somebody, because we have the draft capital with our couple trade backs. So that's all right though. That's all right.
For sure. The next cornerbacks on the board, Cordell Flaw is okay. Mario Goodrich has had some experience. I liked him better before I got really deep into his film. I don't think any of these guys right here would warrant a 4th round pick. I think that this, maybe you look at running back if you want, or maybe you can go another linebacker, or you can look at the receiver still on the board here and double dip there.
Woolen's off the board.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it seems too early for a couple of these guys. Punter, probably you're thinking 5th, 6th round if he's there. That's still an option. Let's see. Yeah, I think offensive tackle is still an option. Running back, edge, corner. You could double dip at wide receiver if you feel like it. I don't think they're going to be drafting a ton of receivers this year, but you can certainly look if there's good value there.
The one thing I will say right here, Noah Ellis out of Idaho. You want a big thumper in the middle, 6'4", 367 pounds. Now, I don't think that he is going to be a very efficient. Maybe he's just going to be in there to take up space, and he can make plays here and there. But you want to talk about a big defensive tackle that can come in and play the run. I think that Noah Ellis is a guy, but I personally would probably still take Lawrence Guy over Noah Ellis. You're just now talking about, cap situation, getting him off the roster, getting a young guy in here for cheap. But that's a option for defensive line if you want a big guy to go opposite of Barmore.
Yep. Late in the draft, Slade Bolden option. Yeah. Kyle Phillips and Bo Melton, both late round people to watch for New England. Obviously, Melton's a Rutgers guy, so that's always the connection you got to think about there. What do you think? What do you think for position? I think running back's an option. They took Ramondre in the 4th or 5th last year. Fourth.
Ramondre was a 4th.
Yeah, so that's an option. Safety, yeah.
Safety is an option. I'm seeing, who was it? Leonard said Marquise Bell out of Florida A&M. I've watched good things out of him. Another one that's been mocked to New England a lot is Leon O'Neal Jr. out of Texas A&M. JT Woods is decent out of Baylor. I think that this is possibly a position, especially with Pepper's on a 1-year prove-it deal and no one knowing what Devin McCourty's going to do, this is a position that could be addressed also.
For sure. And based on the guys on the board, I think we could get that next pick if we want. It seems like by draft position, that looks like all those guys should be available at our next pick. So maybe here we go. Let's see. One of the tackles. I mean, one of the running backs.
Yeah, it depends. If you're talking a running back here that you think is going to come in and be a 3-down back replacing Damian Harris, I think that you're looking at Pierre Strong, Kyron Williams, Rashad White. If you're talking about a pass catching back, Hassan Haskins, TJ Pledger, Max Borghi, those are some of the pass catchers. So now I think the pass catchers are going to be there in the 6th and 7th rounds. But if we're legitimately looking for a Damian Harris replacement, there's going to be guys on here that you can easily take.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing. I feel like we need a pass catching back. I don't think you need a Damian Harris replacement this year, because then you'll have Damian Harris, Ramondre, another Damian Harris replacement. I know they redshirt running back sometimes, but I feel like you could get a pass catching back maybe later if there's no good options right now. And that guy can develop behind James White. And then if Damian Harris leaves in the draft next year, you can draft your Ramondre Stevenson. And then you have Ramondre, a draft pick, along with James White and another pass catching back. And JJ Taylor probably will be gone by then. We'll see. Yeah, this is kind of a tough spot. I mean, they need edge. We just talked about safety and running back, which we can address maybe with the next pick. This is tough. Any edge guys you like at this spot?
Yeah, the one edge guy I like here is the Iowa State guy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I've tried to pronounce it before and it's just bad. So the one I do like, I like the guy out of Iowa State, 6'6", 320. I like his size. 24 years old. I think he comes in. He brings a new element off the edge. I took him in my mock draft, or no. Who did I take? Sorry, Jeffrey Gunther, which is going to be a late round guy. I thought he's been testing pretty well at both his pro day and at the combine. So there's guys on here. It's just, I think that this is a pick that New England isn't going to be too thrilled to have. It's more of a reach pick. A lot of the guys on the board here still are guys that probably would be there at 145, but do you want to trade down and get an extra 7th, or do you want to just take one of them now and not risk it?
I mean, there's no guy that jumps out to you here that's a great value for the spot we're in, right?
Yep.
In that sense, you can see what we can get for a trade down. I don't think it's going to be much, but yeah, might as well, I guess.
The Bucks want us to move down to 133. And so what? Moving down 7 picks, could probably get an extra 2nd or an extra 7th round pick right there. That will definitely get it done. Now you're looking at the rest of the draft. We'd have a 4th, a 5th, 2 6ths, and a 7th.
Sure. We'll take it.
Okay.
See who's there. Maybe one of those guys we can have better value for a few picks later, I guess. I really wish we could have traded up and got one of those
corners.
One of those corners, McCollum or one of the other guys.
I do too. So the board's not looking too much different. A running back goes off. 2 running backs go off. Donovan West finally goes off, and then a tight end, which we weren't really looking at anyways. So here you're looking at, do you want to take that 4th round running back? I don't know. Jack Sanborn's a guy that has been highly praised, but I don't think he fits the system. He can't cover very well. Do you take a safety here? Now you're down a little bit more where you could take a Leon O'Neal Jr. At safety and, see how he pans out learning behind Devin McCourty.
Yeah. This is a tough spot. It's tough late because there's so many options later, and your best bang for your buck trying to get.
Yep.
Safety. Let's see. Yeah, running back we can get later. I still think these safeties I think we can get with the next pick. I know it's not that much further, but I think we can grab one of these safeties with our next pick. I don't see any great value players here based on their draft position and positions of need for us. We looked at defensive interior, right? Is that guy still on the board?
Yeah, Ellis. No, Ellis right here.
Yep. That's an option. What do you think? What do you think position wise we should go here?
I wouldn't be mad double dipping at corner here. I think that if you want to go a Cordell Flott, you can get another good corner here, and this usually seems to be when Bill makes his money at corners. He's right around this at average draft position. The other one's Mario Goodrich. He's a Clemson guy. You can pair him back up with Andrew Booth. Jack Jones is another guy that I like, but I took him in the 7th in my latest mock. He's going to be there late. So here, if you're asking me, corners, the other one, Mikael Wright. I mean, he's a little bit undersized, 5'11". I'm fine with any of these top 3 corners, honestly. If I had to take my pick, I'd probably go with Cordell Flott.
Yeah. All right, let's do that. Go safety next pick. Then we can get into D-line.
Okay, so when you go back to the safeties, no one that we were interested in came off the board here. So you got your pick at Marquise Bell or Leon O'Neal Jr. for a safety spot.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so that's pretty good value there based on that. Who came off the board in between those picks? Anybody that we were looking at?
Braxton Jones would have been a guy at tackle. I think he has good size. Another North Dakota State's tackle has good size also. He's 6'7", 305.
305, jeez.
Mikael Wright, he was one of the corners we were looking at. A center, which we don't really need. A safety from Oregon, Vernon McKinney. A defense interior guy, Haskell Garrett. So a couple. I don't think that they were, main ones. We could still go look. I think that the interior defensive lineman, Noah Ellis, is still there. John Ridgway is another big guy that I've talked about, 6'6", 320. That could be a run stopper opposite of Christian Barmore.
Let's yeah, I think Noah there from Idaho, or what's the safety that we were just talking about? One of those two guys I think would be the pick here, and then maybe running back or punter in the next round, or whoever's left on the board. Who's yeah, I think we can still get some of these guys for value a little bit later if we wanted. What do you think? Go with one of the safeties or the defensive interior?
Yeah, I like going with one of the
Marquise
safeties.
Bell, Leon O'Neal.
Yeah, I probably, if I had my choose, I'm going to go with Leon O'Neal. I've seen him mocked to New England a lot.
Let's take him, and then next pick, defensive interior or running back.
Yep. Mario Goodrich went off the board. Just saw him.
Have you watched Tyler Goodson from Iowa?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah, I haven't either. Headline, Boston Headline was asking. I haven't seen.
Okay, so
much on him.
Matt Arise is still on the board.
Yeah, take him.
Yeah,
let's do it.
In the 6th, you think you can get someone better?
I don't know. What do we got? Interior is defensive interior.
I think tackle's a position that you can look at. We still haven't taken a tackle.
We got 2 more picks.
If you're looking at interior defensive lineman, DJ Dale, 6'3", 300 pounds, another Alabama guy. Thomas Booker is not bad. I have seen him mocked to New England a couple times. I think he played a lot of edge at Stanford, but he's too big to play edge in the NFL. So I think that's why they're putting him at the defensive line spot. So I actually don't hate Booker. The other one I don't hate because a West Coast guy, I watched DJ Davidson, Arizona State a lot. I think these guys are dudes that you could get, though, at 210 or 248, one of those picks.
I think we go with the punter. Maybe we can trade Jake Bailey here, get one of those picks back right after, and you get your value there.
Yeah, I love the punter. I know a lot of people are head scratching the punter decision. Guys, this guy's punted it 80 times, multiple times in the game. Had a great combine showing. People were saying he was one of the best punting prospects they've seen. This is a total Bill move to take a punter.
Yeah. And
cut Jake Bailey, save $4 million, and do who knows what with that, whether it carries over into next year or whatever, and just get cheaper at the punter position. At this point in the draft, if he's what people say he is, then I 100% agree with taking a punter in the 6th. I would have no problems.
Let's do it.
So we take the punter. Now we're looking here at probably running back, right? So if you want to click on the running backs, Max Borhe's a guy that is a very good pass catching running back. Abram Smith he was a dude at Baylor, big power back, ran, very hard in that offense, helped them. Jalen Warren's another guy out of Oklahoma State, but I don't see many of these guys other than Borhe, who someone compared him. They said he's the next Rex Burkhead in the chat. I forgot who that was, but someone said that.
Let's see if I can find that. Yeah,
So
I saw that as well.
It was up there a ways, but
oh boy. All right, maybe not. Maybe I won't find it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. It was Lenart. I hope I'm saying your name right.
Next. Yep, second coming of Burkhead. So I'm not against taking a pass catcher here. The other thing that we needed to that we haven't really addressed, and I saw someone say that you could take another receiver if you wanted to. Devin Tompkins, Slade Bolden's on the board. Tompkins was one of the first reported visits for the Patriots. And he's got legitimate speed too. He had over 1,800 receiving yards this year. Utah State won the Mountain West. They beat Oregon State in the LA Bowl. So he's got legitimate upside as both a returner and a receiver. Or, you can go with one of the other guys that we've been talking about.
What do we have for trades?
Tennessee wants to give us 219 or Houston 245. And, at this point, you're probably taking 245 in a future 6th or 7th.
You want to do 219?
Take 219.
See what they have. 219.
And take a future 7th off of them, too, for 210.
Yeah.
Can we get the future 5th? No. We can get the future 7th.
Yeah, I guess. I was just thinking maybe there's a spot in there that we can take one of those guys and Slade Bolden, but maybe that doesn't end up happening. I don't think he's going to fall to 248 based on his average draft position.
Yeah. So you want to do this trade, get a 2023 7th, move down spots?
Yeah.
Our 4th trade of the video. We should have traded.
We should have done a 5th. If we would have traded up, this draft would have been perfect. It would have been great. This is still pretty good. I'd be happy with this draft.
All right. Do we want to take one of the running backs we talked about now? Borhe,
I think
this is
a good idea.
Okay, we'll take Borhe here to be a pass catcher, whether it's opposite of James White. And then until 248, we don't have another pick. And this is really,
Slade Bolden, is he there?
He's there.
He's there. We got to end it with Slade.
Got the chat wants it, right? Chat, do you guys want Slade Bolden and
Slade
Mechie?
Bolden or offensive tackle? What do you guys want? Or defensive interior? What are you guys feeling like? I think a lot of thought given to Mac Jones' offense by bringing in former teammates. Hey, bring in all the former Bama guys. That'd be great. I'm fine with Slade Bolden unless we can take a peek at defensive interior or offensive tackle. I'm sure they're going to take a tackle at some point in the draft. Or
this is an interesting one too that I'm seeing. Leonard saying EJ Perry taking a quarterback is not a bad option. Now we could take Cole Kelly. We could take you.
Stud. What a stud. He was balling at the combine.
He was. And these guys obviously aren't going to come in and take Mac's spot. Maybe hope that'd be dope if one of them's the next Brady, but I feel like we already have something close to our next Brady. But I think that with Brian Hoyer on the roster, but getting up there in age, you could look to take a 7th round quarterback. I don't know. I feel like you could still.
Or you're signed a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll be all right. Any tackles or any defensive interior players you'd want to take over Slade Bolden over Brandon Bolden? Yes. Oops. There we go.
No, I will say I'm fine with taking Slade Bolden. Darian Butler out of Arizona State, another linebacker that could develop into something good. Who was I gonna say? I was gonna say I would probably value Devin Tompkins over Slade Bolden because of the stats. And I like you talk about legitimate speed. Once his pro day comes up, I don't know if Utah State's had their pro day. I'm excited to see what he runs because I legitimately think he could be a 4-3 receiver. So I like Devin Tompkins, but I have no problem taking Slade Bolden too. I mean, keep the joke going, right?
Either one of the Slade Bolden's such a cool name, says Jungle. And yeah, I'm fine with either of those. I mean, hey, we got Trey Nixon, the burner. That's our speed guy. Then we got Slade on the inside with Mechie. There we go. No, I'm fine with either of those, Tompkins or Bolden, whichever one you feel.
Let's take Slade Bolden. It's what the fans want. So that will take up the draft. That will end the draft. Now they're going to grade us. Wait, before we look at it, what would you say we got? Or how do you feel?
I feel like it was a good draft. I think the only thing that we could have done better if we traded up, I think it would have been a really, really good draft. If we could have got one of those corners that we were looking at, McCollum or the other guy that we were looking at. If we could have traded up, got him so we would have got Booth, Anderson, Mechie, McCollum, Cole. What was it?
Cole Strange.
I think that's plus getting Matariza and Bolden. I think that's a fantastic draft. I would have gave it a B+ at least.
Yeah, I love
maybe.
I love our first 3 picks. I think that what we could have done better and what we will do better next time we do this is if we make these trades in the second round and the first round and we get some of these picks, you trade up in the 4th or the 5th, you get another corner, Zion McCollum, one of those high upside guys. I agree. Jungle ENT gave us a B-. Love HOF. Love HOF said, Devin, please, talking Devin Tompkins. Someone wanted us to talk about the undrafted free agents that possibly could get New England could sign. I don't know if they give us the board that's there.
There we go. A- in my book. Love all the value down trades. They only have like 35 players under contract. Grow is a big draft guy. They want to fill up their roster by drafting well. I agree. I love it. This guy's the best. I mean, he's gave us some great comments today. And,
so the PFF gave us a B+. So
B+?
A B+. The worst pick they gave us was on the punter in the 6th, which I really don't care.
Who cares? He's a stud. They like to hate on punters. They gave Mechie a C+. That's interesting.
Slade Bolden got a B+ in the 7th.
And people say he might go undrafted. I think this is a great draft. I think B+ is a pretty fair grade. I think if we would have done the trade that we were talking about, I think it would have been an A- in my book. I mean,
yeah, if you would have,
really think that
if you would have traded this fourth round pick 133, get up into like the 110s, you would have been able to have your choice at Josh Jobe or Zion McCollum. I would have felt better with one of those guys there. Maybe you have to take away Leon O'Neal or one of these later. Well, you definitely would have to, but I'd give away any of these last 4 picks to take Zion McCollum or Josh Jobe in the 4th round. So I agree. I think it's a good first 7-round mock draft that we've done. We learned some things and kind of know exactly where PFF has guys going, but we talked about a lot of guys that New England could target and a lot of, potential prospects and undrafted free agents. Like I think it was Leonard. He said, I think Devin Tompkins is one that we went there. If we don't take, I think that you look at corners at some of the undrafted guys and you say one of those probably gets signed up. Bill loves to take undrafted corners. Maybe we still didn't address the tackle position. There's going to be a tackle that
edge D tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a bunch of these guys. Let's say trading down is not as spectacular, but it's simply clever. And that's what they always shined with, making rational and smart decisions. Yeah. I mean, if they feel like they can get the same caliber player at 30 as at 30 and 21, they're going to trade back to 30, acquire more picks, get the same player value-wise at 30, and add another player to their roster who they think has potential. It's all about throwing darts at the dartboard during the draft. There's no way to know for sure if somebody's going to stick. Obviously, the first couple rounds, you'd like to have all your picks hit, but you don't always know. And sometimes guys work out. Mike Onwenu in the 6th round, Tom Brady, obviously, undrafted guys even work out. J.C. Jackson, Malcolm Butler. You just got to throw darts at the dartboard and see what sticks. And at the end of the day, if there's better value, I mean, we ended up getting Andrew Booth Jr. and John Mechie instead of just getting Andrew Booth Jr. at 21 because we traded back, got the same player in a further back spot that we really like, and got John Mechie. I like it. I think we did a good job with this draft.
Yeah, I think that The trade downs we did were spot on. This is something that New England's guaranteed to do. Maybe not. I think that they trade down from pick 21. Maybe they don't, but I think that definitely at one point, whether it's second, third, they're going to trade down. Hopefully they trade N'Keal Harry and some other guys on the roster and accumulate more 5th, 6th, 7th round picks. But I'd be very surprised if New England finishes off this draft with 6 picks like they have slated for.
Yeah, I would as well. I think they need to add more players. Interesting comment from Mike here. You guys should do an all senior bowl mock draft, just seniors, see how the board looks. That'd be interesting. I mean, that's something I've seen some other Patriots pages do before, is like only SEC draft, like SEC only draft, or like different stuff like that. Only seniors, only guys from here or here. Like, I think that would be interesting to mess around with. Maybe that's something we'll explore. But
yep.
I think this was fun. This was a fun first one. I think we're gonna do a full first round mock next week. Yep. And then maybe hop right back on the full 7-round mock draft. Last couple weeks before the draft, we'll have probably more stuff coming out. So I think this was a good one. I think there's stuff we can improve on. Like we said, that if we would have traded up, this draft would have been really, really, really nice. So I think we got lucky that a couple of these guys fell. Andrew Booth, the 29. I think he's a great fit for the Patriots. I'm glad we got him. We'll see with the injury if that's a problem, but if anything, maybe that bumps him down where we can trade back and still get a guy who could be a number 1 outside corner for the Patriots. So Andrew Booth, love him. We addressed corner, wide receiver, linebacker, safety, guard, wide receiver again, running back, pass catching running back. So I think we hit a lot of needs in this draft. I think, like you said, offensive tackle, edge, defensive interior, 3 positions that maybe they can target in undrafted free agency. Bill I'm sure is going to be going to a D2 school, some pro day, just this one kid there, and he's going to find him and try to pick him up. So I like it. This is fun.
For sure. A couple questions here about tight ends. We have Hunter Henry. We have Jonnu Smith. The reports are Jonnu Smith is staying in the New England for the whole offseason, which I think will help. I think with a new offensive coordinator, let him get chemistry with Mac, get more comfortable. I think that he is, going to have a better year too. I think that still, is Ossie still on roster, or is it Dalton Keene?
Keene and Ossie are both there. Yeah.
So those are 2 guys that you took with 4th and 5th round picks. Oh yeah. Third. One was a 3rd and one was a 4th.
Yeah.
I would, and you can always add one. I agree. I think that you could have, grab one that's undrafted and take him. Connor Hayward's a guy out of Michigan State. If he's there, there's a couple other tight ends that I think could come in, but I don't know. I think that 4 roster spots for tight ends, if they plan on keeping Ossie and Keene, I really do believe, other than Jonnu Smith, you talk about a dude that's played at least in the backfield and he's been utilized in different ways. You're talking about Dalton Keene from Virginia Tech. He's been used as a lot of offs, or he at Virginia Tech, he was used in the backfield a lot and was used on slide routes. So I think that if they do go away from a fullback, like Jakob Johnson's comments kind of hinted at, that you could see both Jonnu Smith and Dalton Keene being used in the backfield, not necessarily as blockers, but as, decoys and unique ways to get them the ball.
I thought, yeah, Keene and Ossie both late 3rd round picks. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. And then Justin Rohrwasser with the 5th round pick. I mean, if you just go back and look at these past 4 drafts, they have been awful. Awful. Kyle Duggar, great. Uche, okay. Anthony Jennings, okay. Devin Ossie, Dalton Keene, Rohrwasser's not even on the roster anymore. Just bad. That was just the 2020 draft. We got on Wenu. That was good. Haran is okay. Dustin Woodard, didn't he retire after the draft? And then he unretired this year and we cut him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just awful.
I will say this. And it was the comment that was made, trading down isn't as spectacular, but it's simply clever, and that's what they always shine, making rotational and smart decisions. Robert Kraft said this, it might have been today or a couple days ago. Drafting is the only way to build for sustained success. I think the Duggar pick was bad too.
Duggar in the early 2nd is bad? What? Could have got him later.
Maybe at the time it was bad, but is anyone questioning the Duggar pick now? No.
You wouldn't take you wouldn't take Duggar right now for the 37th overall pick in a trade. Kyle Duggar's he's going to be could you have got him a little later? Yeah, whatever. We got a good player. I'm happy with it. Would you rather have taken that 2nd round pick on Jawan Williams, obviously a different draft class, but I'm just saying, we got a second round guy who hit. I'm happy with it. We got good value. Is what it is. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. And like I was saying, sorry, about Robert Kraft, he said drafting is the only way for sustained success. I agree. I think that free agency is important. It's how you immediately improve your team. But New England has lots of open roster spots. They have lots of guys that are older, have taken a lot of reps. You got to continue to get younger. And this is a very important draft to do it. You got to get guys on the timeline of Mac Jones now. This isn't Tom Brady's team anymore. This isn't his timeline. Mac Jones is the future. You got to get guys on his timeline. I think New England's heading in the right direction, but they got to do another good job at the draft.
Yeah, this is like we talked about, I think, last podcast. This is a huge draft. Like, this draft is huge. Like you just said, on Mac Jones's timeline, we need to start hitting on these picks, because the more you have success drafting, the better your team's going to be 2 to 4 years down the road, and then even further. Like, even if it's not an instant day one impact, like if you draft well, that's going to help your team out in the short term and a lot in the long term. So drafting well is huge. We really need to start hitting on these picks. The draft before that, N'Keal Harry, bust. Juwan Williams, bad. Chase Winovich, gone. Damian Harris, good. Yadi Kajust, however you want to say it. Okay. I mean, you don't want to spend a third round pick on him, I don't think. Hajay Froholt. I never knew how to pronounce his name. Stidham, Byron Cowart, Jake Bailey, Ken Webster. I mean, just, you don't see many guys the past 4 years that are contributing to this team currently. And that's just tough. I mean, that's why some of these teams have been doing so well. They drafted well. They're in good spots. Buffalo. We talked about the Chargers, all their homegrown talent they have there. You got to draft well to have sustained success, and the Patriots haven't done that recently, and that's why we've seen the fall off. Really, that's kind of what it's been attributed to. You lose Tom Brady, he can't cover up for those bad draft mistakes anymore. So now we got to see what it's all about. We got to put focus on the draft, and we got to start developing these guys and start hitting on these picks. I was really happy with the draft last year. If we can have a similar draft and get 3 to 4 impact players out of this upcoming draft like we did this year, perfect. That's going to be great. So I'm excited to see how the Patriots approach this draft. I really hope we get some good players that end up working for this team and this system, because it's going to be important to the success of this team 2 to 4 years down the road.
Yeah, I got a comment on this comment. It's off topic, but Mr. Top 5 cornerback money, my ass. Come on. I think all Patriots fans are wishing JC Jackson was still. If you guys don't think so, that's fine. That's your opinion. But I think that New England's going to severely miss. And with all the other positions of need in New England, like now looking back at it, they didn't do anything to, even with JC Jackson, the depth of cornerback was probably something that needed to be addressed.
Absolutely. We talked about that all last year.
Now he's gone. And 2 of your starting interior offensive linemen are gone. So now that's a huge need. You still probably need to get younger at linebacker. You still need to find a receiver. So I'm all on board. They should have paid JC Jackson. It would have just made it that much easier to fit this team together and make the holes less apparent, but they didn't do it. And it's something that they're going to have to address. And when you talk about a dude that's still young, I mean, he was still 26 years old. You signed him for the 5-year deal that they did. You're going to have him through 31. Stephon Gilmore didn't even play his best football until he was 28 when he won Defensive Player of the Year. So I think he's going into his prime, and it's something that New England fans will be monitoring closely. I promise you, with all those good receivers in that division, they'll have a close eye on JC Jackson. And so we'll see how it turns out. I was against not letting him resign. I would have given him top 5 cornerback money. I would not have given him 20 million like the report said, but I think me and you both agree that we would have given him the contract that he got for the Chargers. It was just hard to do the guaranteed money part for New England.
I mean, we got Terrence Mitchell though. Can you be upset?
And we got Super Bowl legend Malcolm Butler back. So
no, I agree. I love JC. I didn't think he was deserving of 20 mil or resetting the cornerback market, but I would have gave him that contract the Chargers gave him in a heartbeat. So, I mean, the thing is, Belichick is not afraid to pay for a number 1 corner if he feels that that's the best thing for this team. He paid Gilmore. He paid Darrelle Revis. he's okay with paying guys if he feels like that's what's best for the team. So him letting him walk away for that money, even though it was the guaranteed up front, makes me think maybe there's something there that we haven't seen. Maybe he needs a little extra help on the, like, more than some other players to be what he is. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't like his attitude of how he talked to the media and how he was really kind of out there. He wasn't a typical Patriot like media guy who's not, I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is, but I think there's a reason Bill let him go. Maybe it was just, oh, hey, we can't pay you, even though they absolutely could have. You could have figured it out. You always can. We've seen teams do it. Cap is crap. It is what it is. So JC's gone. We got to figure out how to replace that now. It's going to be tough. I'm going to be keeping an eye on JC for sure. I think it's a really interesting thing. We're going to be monitoring him for the next 5 years saying, thank God we didn't spend that money on this guy, or we really should have spent that money on this guy because this guy's a top 2 corner now, or whatever he ends up being. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see how the JC experiment goes with the Chargers. That defense looks elite, especially with him on there. Khalil Mack, Bosa. They got a ton of really talented players. Derwin James. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I will say this. I see Boston headline talking about the dropping easy picks, crucial situations. In 2020, Marshawn Lattimore, people could argue he's a top 10 cornerback. 5 dropped interceptions. Xavier Howard, 4 dropped interceptions. AJ Terrell, who's a top 5 corner, 3 dropped interceptions. Carlton Davis, who just got paid right underneath JC Jackson, 2 interceptions. I'm trying to scroll down and find some other
2 interceptions.
2 dropped interceptions. Sorry. All these are dropped interceptions. JC Jackson, they only had him for 1. So, yeah, if your narrative wants to be that he dropped the 1 interception against the Bills, which
was that the one that should have been a pick 6? No, he dropped more than 1.
They have him down for 1.
He dropped one a few weeks before the Bills game too. That would have been a pick 6, didn't he? Or was that the Bills game?
I think that was the Bills game.
Was it?
Or no, are you talking about the Colts one?
Where it was right in his hands. He had an easy pick 6. He dropped it.
I thought that one was tipped though. Like there was a reason he didn't catch it.
I don't know.
I don't remember one directly being in it. Well, the Bills one might have been directly in his hands, but I don't remember the one that we're thinking of him being like he 1,000%. I swear there was something that happened like it was a tip. Maybe I'm tripping, but I just yeah.
I'm not here saying JC Jackson has bad hands. He was a wide receiver previously. He's got great hands. He's one of the best ball hawks in the NFL. We know that. My concern with JC is not his ability to catch the football. Like that's not my concern with him as a player. But I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how he does against Devontae Adams, Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, all these guys. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a great test for him. I mean, he struggled against Diggs sometimes. I know you disagree somewhat, but
it's not that I disagree because I think he struggled, but I think that he
wasn't as bad as some people make him out to be.
He did better than what any of the corners are going to do this year. And look at Jalen Ramsey getting torched the last 3 games in the NFL playoffs. Like it's a receiver friendly league. It's meant for them to get torched. And I thought JC Jackson didn't get torched as bad as Patriots fans did. Everyone just wants to amplify it because it's the Bills. That was my opinion.
It's also tough because we just saw very recently Stephon Gilmore have one of the most dominant seasons as a corner in NFL history. He won Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he was shut down, locked down, whatever you want to say. He was just dominant. And then we take a step back to JC. Still a great corner, still elite, still top 8, top 5, you could say. Well, it's up for debate. Well, whatever you guys think. But we lost a great player. Is what it is. One interesting thing, and I think is definitely something that's on the Patriots' mind, was once JC was gone, once they didn't get some of these guys that they were looking for, some of the bigger spenders that they got overpaid or whatever, they didn't want to give them the money, the comp pick formula, that's got to play a role into this. JC is going to get them a 3rd-round pick next year. I don't know if Jabril Peppers will account for the comp pick formula, but if it doesn't, you'll get a 3rd-rounder probably for JC. And you'll probably get like a 5th for Ted Karras. Something like that. So that's a couple comp picks right there. And you didn't really sign anybody big. You made a trade. You signed a couple free agents for cheap, prove it deals, whatever. Nobody crazy. So that's also going to be playing a factor. Patriots will have their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, a comp pick, their 4th, 2 fifths, 6th, and a 7th probably next year. So they'll have more draft capital, more ammunition to trade up, do whatever they want to do next year in the draft, just acquire more players, throw more darts at the dartboard. So that's also something that not a lot of people are talking about necessarily.
Yeah. So, and Bill loves those picks, so we'll take them. So, well, Cole, do you have anything else? 7-round mock draft, anything else to close on before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. Record, we can just touch on this super quick. Record, 10-7. If you ask me right now, 10-7, 9-8.
Yeah, I think you're right around the 500 mark. So
unfortunately, unless we smoke this draft, I don't think we're going to be better than we were last year. It's just too many holes to fill too soon.
The way that you smoke this draft, like we talk about, like you're going to have to get 4 immediate starters and immediate impact players in the first 4 picks. And whether you trade down from 21, like you're going to have to, unless you absolutely think that this receiver core, I think you need to add a receiver, and whether it's Mechie or however they go, you got to find another depth corner. You probably need to find a good linebacker. You need to address the offensive line. I think you got to find 4 guys in the draft that can come, and that is very hard to do. That's very hard to find 4 immediate starters with the amount of picks we have and where we're drafting.
Yeah, I agree. Mike says grab talent, forget need. I don't necessarily disagree because we have so many different needs, but at the same time, if you have some gaping holes that you need to fill, aka corner, linebacker is, I wouldn't say as big of a need as it was a week and a half ago before we signed Bentley and traded for the linebacker from the Browns. Mac Wilson, thank you. But at the end of the day, if you get talented players in the draft, you can't be upset, but you also need to fill needs at the same time. It's a balancing act. It's not just grab talent. It's not just go for need. It's a mix of both, I would say.
Yeah. And you hear the term best available all the time. So I agree. I mean, at certain points, there's a best available. Like you look back on the 7-round mock draft we did, like there's no real value that we saw at the 4th round. Yeah, take the best available guy. But when you're talking 1st round pick and there's studs everywhere, you might have to, maybe some people have Kiar Elam being an early 2nd round pick, but if you absolutely need a corner and you don't feel like you can trade down or you don't get the value you want for trading down, I have no problem taking him at 21. I still think it's a reach, but I think that that's a way to address the needs. Now, obviously that's saying Olave, Williamson, none of those guys are on the board, but I think that there's ways that New England can get better in this draft that they have to do. And it's, taking care of these positions of need.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just about does it probably.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
Is this, if they grab a top quarterback in 23 with 2 first rounders, they could get ugly real quick with Allen and Bryce Young, CJ Stroud within the division. I think they're talking about Miami because they're talking about,
Tua holds back Miami was just before this. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If you're putting Bryce Young out there or CJ Stroud on Miami with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, this is going to be the Dolphins Drive podcast. No, just kidding.
Yeah, okay. All right. Welcome to the Tampa Bay / Dolphins Miami Drive
This podcast. Is the Tampa Bay Patriots Drive podcast, baby.
No, I could never.
No, I agree. That's the one thing that I think Patriots fans, and we've talked about, is worried about. You see teams getting better. You feel like either New England's getting worse or they're very stagnant at this point. And that sucks with a rookie contract type of quarterback. But we'll be back next week for a full 1st round mock draft. Keep looking for our clips. We're going to have clips coming out. Keep supporting the channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. We're doing a live draft show on draft night for the 1st round and most likely the 2nd, especially if New England trades down. But plan on that one, hanging with us all night, chatting, talking the draft, and we'll have it on the stream for you guys to listen to. But Cole, you got anything else?
Nope, that should do it. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts on this mock. If you guys have any video ideas that you guys want to see from us, feel free to drop them in the comments. We're always going to be looking there for your guys' suggestions. Mike, thank you. We appreciate all your guys' support lately. Really, it's been awesome. We hope you guys tune in to that draft night show. I think it's going to be fun. We're just going to be hanging out, chilling, following the draft together. We'll be chatting with you guys about, this guy got picked here. What do we think of that? Who should the Patriots draft? All that stuff. So, got gonna be super fun. Gonna be super fun. So tune into that. Keep tuning into the live streams and all the clips and all that stuff. But until maybe I should sleep.
Dedication.
Wow. This guy is the best. This guy is the best right here. Jeez, 5 a.m. in Germany. We appreciate you supporting from Germany. That's awesome.
That's
wow.
awesome.
Thank you guys. Really, thank you guys all for the support recently. It's been really awesome. So until next week on Tuesday, or maybe we'll have a video Thursday, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.